Hi guys! I'm not gonna talk much. I'm just gonna say it's super creamy, it's loaded with cheese and has a delicious bacon crust. Do I need to say more? You can see it for yourself. You want to start by making the bacon. So, just gonna add the bacon into my pan. What you want to do is keep on checking it from both sides so that it browns evenly and so that you kind of reduce the fat and the bacon becomes really crunchy. So you want really to bring that crunch out in the bacon. And once you see it's looking nice and brown and crunchy, you want to remove it to a plate with some parchment paper like I have here, so the excess fat has somewhere to drip off. And then we are going to prep the macaroni. So I'm just gonna add the macaroni in, also adding in a little bit of salt and covering it with water. And then you just want to cook them as instructed on the package. Then once the macaroni is ready, you want to remove it from heat and strain the water. And then it's the last thing we want to do, and that's the white sauce. So first I'm adding in the butter and allowing it to melt. Then once the butter has melted completely, I turned the heat to medium and I'm gonna add in the flour. And I'm whisking it in. And from now on you want to keep on whisking continuously. Now we are just going to allow the butter flour mix to cook for a couple of minutes and then start adding in the milk slowly. So now it's been a couple of minutes, I've cooked the flour and now I'm gonna, or the flour with the butter, and now I'm gonna start adding in the milk. You want to continue whisking when you add it. And don't worry if it looks like there are some lumps forming at this point, just continue whisking it and you'll be fine. It will be all creamy and smooth in the end. What I like to do is to put the heat on maximum and then just stir it continuously so that it doesn't burn. This way I save some time, but I would say if you're making the white sauce for the first time, then keep the heat on medium. That way you will not run into a situation where you burn the white sauce or it starts forming lumps or something like that. So if it's your first time, then take it slow. Once the white sauce starts to thicken, you will notice it right away by how it leaves on the sides of the pot, and also you will feel it. It feels thicker and you see it when you whisk it. So I just need a little bit more. I'm just gonna wait a little bit more for it to thicken up and then I'm gonna remove it from heat. So once it starts to thicken, it's gonna take really short time to get to that right consistency. So once you feel it goes thick, you really want to watch it and watch for the right consistency. So now I always test like this with a whisk, and when it's looking like this, it's thick enough, and now I'm gonna remove it from heat. Now the sauce is off heat, and what I want to do right away is to add in the cheese. I have half of the cheese I'm using is cheddar cheese, so you want to add almost all of the cheese in, just leaving a little bit to go on top for the once you put everything in the dish. So I'm mixing half of the cheese in first, then I'm gonna add in the other cheese, and then I'm gonna mix again. And now what you want to do is to check whether the cheese melts in completely. If it doesn't, then just bring it back to heat and allow the cheese to melt completely. So I'm just stirring it in and checking how it's gonna look like. So I want to give it a little bit of time, so it's not gonna melt in right away. So okay, I don't need to bring mine back to heat because the cheese has melted in and it's all really creamy and cheesy. It's looking good. So now I just want to add a little bit of seasoning. That's optional. You can add some, you can leave it plain. It will taste great plain as well because of the cheese. So the only two things I'm adding is a bit of black pepper, and also I like to add a little bit of paprika. So I'm adding about a half or a teaspoon of both. Mixing in. And now we are going to combine the sauce with the macaroni. So if you use a big enough pot for the white sauce, you can do this in the pot, so you can just add the macaroni in the pot. But because I didn't, so I'm gonna do this in a separate bowl. I'm just adding in the macaroni in, and then I'm also adding in my white sauce. And when you scrape it from the pan, if you notice that there's some bits that look like lumps, there might be some like that at the bottom, just leave those in the pot. And then you just want to mix it all in so that all your macaroni is covered with the white sauce. There's one thing I forgot to tell you about is when you have the white sauce ready and just before you are going to add it in with the macaroni, you can taste it and see if it needs any more seasoning, then season it and only then add it to the macaroni. It's looking nice and creamy, and oh, I just could dig in with a spoon right away. But now what we want to do is to grab our casserole dish and transfer that creamy goodness into the casserole dish. And no wasting any of that extra sauce that's left in the bowl. Add that in as well. And now you're probably thinking, what happened to the bacon? Well, now we are going to prep the bacon. Just leave this aside and bring back the bacon. It should have had time to cool and it's really crispy. And then you just want to make like a really fine crumb out of the bacon. So you can hear how it crunches. You want it to be really, really crispy. So this is kind of like the best breadcrumbs that you can have. So this is what you want, really fine, crunchy bacon bits. Now I have my bacon bits ready and I'm bringing back the macaroni and just going to sprinkle over with the crunchy bacon bits. And I know it does have a lot of cheese in it already. I have quite a bit of leftover cheese, which I left over from the white sauce, and I wanted to sprinkle it on top. I'm not going to use all of it, but I want to add just a little bit so that I have that melted cheese also on top of the mac and cheese. So just a little, well, depending on how you like it, but I want to have the bacon kind of also peek through, so I'm just gonna add a tiny bit on top. So I like it like this, and now I'm gonna pop it in the oven. Then once you've got the mac and cheese out of the oven, you want to give it a little bit of time so that it has time to set, and just about 15 minutes, and then you can serve it. I must say, this is the best mac and cheese I have ever made or ever tried. That bacon crust, it just makes everything perfect. It doesn't even need a side. It's perfect as it is. Maybe a little bit of salad or some greens, if you like that. I always like the creamy stuff with a little bit of greens on the side. But it's super delicious. It's super creamy because I decided to make a double portion of the white sauce, and that cheese is bringing so much flavor to it, and the bacon crunch. Even if I say bacon crunch, you directly just smile. You don't even need to think about it. It's going to be delicious. You know it, and I hope you're gonna try it out. I hope you enjoyed this recipe, because I know we enjoyed this dish and it was gone in like no time. Both myself and cameraman devoured this mac and cheese, and I know it's gonna be a dish that we are going to be making, or we are going to enjoy very often during this winter, during the colder months. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget that thumbs up so I know that you did. And if you're new to my channel, you can find the subscribe button over here. You can subscribe to my channel, and if you tap the bell, you are not going to miss any of the new videos. Thank you for watching my video, and happy holidays!